Hello, friends. My guest today is Erica Colaney, Director of Social Media at the University of Michigan. And can I tell you, Erica is a practitioner. She's in the platforms, she digs into the data, and man, does she know her stuff. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. I'm Jenny Li Fowler, award-winning social media professional, author, and podcast host, and a recognized voice across the social media marketing industry. Social media managers are navigating the wild, ever-changing world of higher ed communications, and I'm here to share the real stories and lessons behind the posts. Each episode explores the challenges, strategies, and untold moments that come with running social media accounts in today's digital landscape. Let's get into it. Erica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Jenny.
Yeah, no, I've been an admirer of your work for some time now, so it's the pleasure is all mine. Erica, tell us, what is your social media origin story?
Yeah, I love this question because I think that a lot of us in social media, especially higher ed social media, have these very interesting paths, but many of us start off in journalism, and that's where mine also starts off. So I began as a journalist, and I quickly realized that social media was a really great way to connect with the communities in the areas where I was reporting. I was able to engage with readers. I was able to encourage them to read my stories and respond to them and give me other story ideas. And so I started using it in that way, and then training other reporters in the media company I was at to use it in that way. And then I got recruited to go do that for another media company. And then it just kept evolving into, I was doing so much more social media than reporting.
Which happens, yeah.
Yeah. And so I took the jump into marketing and communications, went to an agency where I got to work with a lot of different industries, did healthcare for a while, which led me into higher education through working at a medical school, which is kind of the beautiful combination of the two industries of healthcare and higher ed. And I've been at the University of Michigan now for over 5 years on the social team. And I love it. And I absolutely would have never thought that I would be working in social media or for a university when I was starting out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So you were a print journalist? Were you a print reporter? Nice. Yeah. The old school beat reporter, were you?
Yeah. I was on the crime beat.
Amazing.
In all the areas that I worked in. And so, that was my big, storytelling was around things that had happened or were happening in that moment. And so there were a lot of opportunities to, hear what people were saying about something that happened, or, with crime comes public safety in general and other opportunities for feedback. But it was definitely as news outlets were kind of starting to reduce the amount of print and go more digital. And so it was a really, it was quite the time for me to decide that, that's what I was going into. But it worked out. I did it for a few years, and then, really was able to find a career that I'm super passionate about and get to work in, and still get to write stories and tell stories. And, I'm shaping narratives every day about different things that are happening. It's just, more positive, great, fun things now than it was when I was first starting out on the crime beat.
No, respect. I always tell people it's still storytelling, just a different medium,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, okay, so, you were talking about audiences, and for social, it's important to realize that our audiences in each platform are not the same. So can you tell us how you've gone about identifying your different audiences and why this is so critical today?
Yes, this is so important we as in our social team here in Michigan, we spend so much time researching our audiences, and we do this on each platform. And so we have dedicated a lot of time in the past year and a half to really diving in addition to the various tools that are available for audience research, and also the general, demographics that we were able to glean from different organizations and just from our own knowledge of the platforms. We've worked to really dive in by building personas off of our actual followers. And so taking some time to look through Facebook, for example, and find 100 followers and kind of research them. We're not too creepily, but looking into what their affiliation with the university is.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, what else do they have included in their bio? What groups are they a part of? Where are they from? And are they someone who engages with us often or no? And try to build some personas off of those actual individuals. And so we've done that for all of our social media platforms. And actually, that might not be, we haven't really done it specifically for Threads because it's just kind of like built off of Instagram. But for most of them,
I hear you. Yeah, no, Threads is a little bit of a mystery to me too. But just going back, it's funny because I just had a conversation, I think the episode is going to air still, but about personas and not having too much reliance on them. But what you're trying to find is what the audience specifically is on each platform. So you're not building a persona, a general one to build content to. You're answering the question of like, who is actually following us on Facebook? Who is actually following us on Instagram? So you're going in platform and like literally like picking samples, right?
Yes.
Looking at their bios. So you can say, this is our typical Instagram user. This is our typical Facebook user. That seems like really time consuming.
It has been, which is why we haven't done the super thorough deep dive in about a year and a half now, but we do regularly keep up on it. But we did at one point in acknowledging audience development is, huge. And then we need to also know who they are once we get them there to engage with them properly, which is, why we're doing what we're doing, because we want them to engage. And so we just went through and divvied up by platform. I'm lucky to have, a pretty robust team. And we just built out who these individuals are who are following us. And it's still making assumptions because, there's 802,000, people following us on Facebook, and we're looking at maybe 100 of them. But that, in addition to all of the other insights that we can get from researchers and other intel that's available to us, other data, we can really build something that shows us who our audiences are on each platform in a more specific manner, which is how we found out that on Facebook, we don't have a very big community of people who have a direct connection to the university. A lot of them are fans of the University of Michigan for one reason or another.
They're not like parents, like a lot of us assume.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we do have quite a few parents, but a lot of them are looking more for where their students are getting the content as well. And so we also have done surveys asking people which platforms that they use, especially students. So we do this each year and ask them, where are you looking for information? Where are you looking to follow brands and get that information from the brand, in addition to just, the fun content that we want them to like. And so we try to take it offline too and get them to respond to us through like an event or a form or something that's not necessarily just like looking into the social media side of, who, like of their personal life, like who they're trying to follow and what they're trying to do, really trying to get that feedback from them like firsthand so that we can understand that a bit better. Even though we can assume that it's mostly Instagram for our students, we're able to say like, we know this because we asked them.
we've asked. Okay, I have like so many questions. Can you can you give us some generalities of what you found? You said your Facebook audience, it's not as many parents as you had initially thought. It's more global. It's people that are just interested in the global brand of University of Michigan. What have you found? Can you share what have you found on Instagram or and X? And LinkedIn? Did you do one for LinkedIn?
We did do one for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a lot of alumni, which is fantastic.
Okay.
Also, quite a few current employees, faculty, staff who work at the university. We also have the Michigan Medicine Health System connected to us. And so there's quite a few Michigan Medicine affiliated employees and also people who appreciate the Michigan Medicine healthcare system, who interact with the university, follow the university side of things in that regard as well. So LinkedIn does stay true to the very professional nature and the alumni tie of people who have stories to share about the university, want to stay connected, and continue to see stories about how other people are thriving at the university or other, celebratory pride points, things that can help them maintain their connection to the institution. Instagram is, we have a general Instagram audience base, but significant student, like current student.
Okay.
And so that is really important for us to know. That is where we are putting the messaging that we know needs to get to students. And so, that came to changing the entire crisis communications plan because years ago it would be Twitter. Yeah. And now we know, we have to put that on Instagram if something happens and we need to get this to as many students as possible, we have to put it on Instagram. And so things like that.
Have you found that your younger alumni are also on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're following us there. We do have quite a few alumni on Facebook as well, too. And so we have a good...
younger alumni?
No, not younger, but in general, we see a lot of alumni on Facebook.
Gotcha.
We are, we're on TikTok, and our TikTok audience is prospective students. It's a lot of current students, but it's also definitely our biggest students who are looking to apply to colleges and who are interested. And then we see families come into the Instagram a little bit more as we're featuring students. We've started in the past year to see more parents acknowledging that's a photo of my child. I love this. That's my niece. I love it. And so there's definitely a slight shift happening of we're not losing students on Instagram, but we're gaining families who are there. And so we're trying to keep that in mind too, to get them to continuously look at the content and not just when it's a picture of their kid or something that they're directly familiar with, but something that they'll enjoy seeing regardless of what it is.
So that gets them there, but then they stay there. That's super insightful and actually very, very validating because those are the same sort of thoughts that we had on. So it's pretty consistent with our platforms as well. But just building on the Instagram thing, when there were crises or things unfolding, we would see it on X or Twitter. But our students are posting things on Instagram now and sort of showing where they're planning to protest and it's all happening on Instagram. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram is absolutely where so many important conversations take place between students and where they're building connections. And so it's really important for us to understand that and be active there, but to also know when we shouldn't be active there.
Oh, yeah, totally.
When we know, we're monitoring. And if we know that students are, upset about something or they have something going on or they have a concern, that our photo for that day is not going to have the impact that we want it to have. And so that's also important to understand. And we can, there can be days where we won't post on Instagram because, we know that there is nothing we can add to the conversation on that platform that will be valuable. but we can still have a conversation on a different platform. It might, we can still go post content on Facebook or LinkedIn because they're not involved in that. It's very student focused. So we use that information not just for engaging with our audiences, not just for content development, but also, should we post today? Should we post this today? Or should we just take a minute, take a pause and evaluate the situation, see if there's anything else we can do that would be helpful? And otherwise, if not, just be quiet for a little bit. There's no harm in taking a pause and letting students or anyone have that conversation that they, feel like they need to have at that time.
Yeah, so true. That's a great tip. And not only is it a great tip, it supports the argument that you shouldn't be posting all the same content in every single channel, right? So going back to the surveys, so you are literally where are you surveying students, and do you get a high percentage of participation, and how are you incentivizing them, or what are you doing?
We have done it before. So we have an Instagram account that is for students. And so we don't post to it. We use it for student takeovers.
Okay. Does it have a different handle?
Yes.
What
so it is UMich students.
Students. Okay.
Yes. And so that is, we own the channel, but we give it to different groups and orgs to take over and share their content. So, but we do use it when we are trying to gather information from students. And so we have just posted a form to our story there before. As we're out and about on campus filming Instagram Reels and TikToks, we come across a lot of different students who are interested in learning what we're doing or being a part of what we're doing.
Sure.
So we've collected a lot of names from students who are interested, but aren't necessarily on our intern team that we have. And so we consider them our ambassadors. And so we leverage them to help us out and give us some of this intel when we're seeking it. And then they come be a part of our filming sessions as well. But we're actually planning an event for the fall semester where we're hoping to invite about 100 students to come to this event, where we will ask them to fill out a form, a little brief survey about their social media usage. And then we'll facilitate conversations about it. We'll have food, swag, and a whole bunch of stuff to give to them. But that way, we're able to make it more conversational rather than just getting the information from them through a form, but still giving them the opportunity to be anonymous and submitting it as a form and then giving us a conversation around it. So that's something new that we're starting to organize now. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Yes. I might have to have you back on to talk about how it went. And you're inviting people?
Yes. So we're hiring for new student interns. So we have 6 and we had 4 graduate. So we're hiring some new interns. And so we opened it up to a pool of applicants, and we received so many resumes that knowing we were going to hire, 4 out of all of these incredible individuals who expressed interest, we decided that we really wanted to find a way to build more connections with them. And so we're going to work with our interns and work with the other students who applied to ask them to be a part of this opportunity, and kind of use it as we'll invite them because we do want them to come and give genuine feedback. We want to make sure we get students from all of our different schools and colleges, from different years and who have different experiences. And so it kind of all came because we were hoping to get more info. And then we saw all of these applicants come through, and we were like, gosh, we have to do something.
And tap into that.
All of this. And so, so we've just started putting together all of the ideas and trying to, we figure if we give out t-shirts, stickers, and pizza, we can get some people to come help us out.
I love that idea because, one of the first things I always ask when people ask me, where are the students, or what platforms are they using? I always say, have you asked them? I feel like that's the first thing. And usually the answer is no. So I love that you're constantly asking the students. It seems like that's just something you've built into the process, or, your process.
Yeah, we always try and learn from them directly as much as we can.
Amazing. I have to slow clap that because, we are not doing that enough. Can we talk about engagement? How do you handle engagements on the platforms?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is, I think everyone knows it off the top of their head, is just being active in our own comment sections, making sure that once we post, we go back and we like responses or we interact. On Instagram and TikTok, it's more like fun replies, being a little bit more cutesy, using some puns, really, trying to make it as fun as possible. And then being, more appreciative and thorough on other platforms, like on, depending on what it is. On LinkedIn, we might be a little bit more, specific in our responses. But making sure we're there.
You're not being like a customer service, hotline. You are engaging with your social media audience like other just like native users would engage with the social media audience.
Yes. Yeah. Hearts, thanks, bestie. Like, love it. Like just having fun with it. And then we also try to go into other comment sections. So when other, even other universities, other schools are sharing content, or someone who has an affiliation with the university, or someone shares a video about the university, making sure that we check it, we do our research, and make sure that it's someone who, we can engage with, but we go in and comment there. And that has really helped grow our TikTok audience specifically. We have a member of our team who is just so dedicated to doing this on TikTok constantly that it genuinely has, I wish I had like direct correlation numbers, but the more that we are out there engaging in various different comment sections, we just see this continual increase in followers. And we've seen when we have a comment and get a lot of likes, we see a lot more followers come. And so trying to find the right opportunities for it every now and then, it doesn't hit right, or it doesn't, strike the right kind of response. It just it's a comment that gets pushed down, and it doesn't garner the attention we would hope, but it's still really good to be out there and try and be active, and helps everyone see that we are an engaged member of the community. We're not just posting content to post it, get it out there, and move on to the next thing. We really want to be in the moment with everyone.
I love that. And in fairness, again, University of Michigan does have a sizable social media team, right?
Yes,
so you have people that can dedicate time to doing this.
Yes, we are very lucky to have a good sized team here.
But also it pays dividends to do that. We were talking earlier, and you also mentioned that you engage with your own faculty. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah. So we look at our faculty who are sharing. So this used to be really big on Twitter. A lot of faculty have kind of shifted. Some still use Twitter. Some are using Twitter and Blue Sky. Some are on Blue Sky. Some are only on LinkedIn. And so we...
Are you on Blue Sky?
We are on Blue Sky.
Oh, okay.
We are on Blue Sky with not a massive presence.
Okay.
We don't have a ton of followers there, but we waited months and months and did a ton of research. We had a lot of faculty who went to Blue Sky who were sharing their own research there. Okay. So that's been something that we launched a couple months back. And so we're still working on growing the presence there, and honestly still in the trial phase of, is this something that will be viable?
It's just been a couple of months for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we see our faculty sharing research there, and we go in and, same as we do with any member of the community or just the general public, we, check the bio, make sure that it's, who they say they are, and that they're not.
Do a Google search, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
Google search on
always full Google search, see what they're, what else they've been saying, and just, so we don't get in those sticky situations.
Right.
And so, but then we try to share it, or we try to respond to it and engage with it. And then we typically will build out some additional content with it and tag them in it, depending on what the research is on and how it fits into our strategy. But we do try to go in and actively engage with them, because research is a huge, a part of the University of Michigan's entire existence. And so making sure that we acknowledge that really vast research that spans so many different industries and sectors and has such a significant impact for not only our community here in the state of Michigan, but just everywhere. And finding different ways to elevate that, because we just can't tell the story. We can't, share research, all of the research we never could. There's I can't even fathom getting it out there.
No,
but,
I get it.
But trying to engage with their posts so that then they can see that we're active, we care, we want to help amplify their work.
That. Yeah. That's great. I should also put out there that the MIT social media team is not as robust. so we're watching Blue Sky, but we're not active on it just because we don't have the human resources, even if we wanted to. So I'm just saying that for our listeners, that's a consideration, right? So no pressure. Like if you feel like your faculty are on there and you have the resources, great. But if you can't do it properly, right? I don't feel like you should do it.
And we got on there as the university, but we've been working with the schools and colleges to say we're not really seeing a huge return here. This might not be the way to go about it. Or for some of the very research specific areas where their leaders are pretty prominent figures in
their niche communities
it makes sense for them to be there. And so we're trying to build it out in that way, but it's definitely a different space where it fluctuates on time of activity and things, where it seems like people kind of jump back to X sometimes and then they'll go back to Blue Sky. And so I think a lot of it is driven by just what's happening in the current moment and what's trending and the root of the conversation, because it's hard to have a conversation start on one platform and then take it to another. And so I think that a lot of people are kind of bouncing around platforms, which again is why it's important to understand the audiences, because they're kind of moving and shifting as they do.
Exactly.
And it can be hard to find them if you're not regularly keeping up and trying to identify where are they enjoying spending time.
Totally. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, are you all active on Reddit?
We have a Michigan Reddit account, an official account. We have posted every now and then.
Oh, you have? Okay.
We haven't in a couple of years
because Reddit's a weird community. I mean, not weird. I shouldn't say weird. They're a very unique community.
The reason we don't actively post is because we aren't welcome.
They don't like it.
No, they don't want to hear from us.
No, Redditors do not want to hear from brands. No. Yeah.
Nope. I will say we have the account. The reason that the time we do still use it is usually in the worst situations where we see someone who's posting in a University of Michigan subreddit that they're going through a really hard time and they don't know what to do.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And they'll say that, I'm a student. I don't know what to do. I'm really struggling right now. And we'll respond with resources.
Okay. So you're using for listening and monitoring.
Yes. We all the time. I learned so much about things from there because
yes.
People are talking about all kinds of different, very niche topics. And so I get a lot of community insight from Reddit threads. Just so much information gets shared. But we don't typically respond, again, unless it's something where we really need to. My goal would be, I would love to have a person. I don't know who this person is, but there's a person who it's their account and they're posting, because I just feel like that's more when it comes to even giving resources, because I think that's even more well received than the university. Because even when we post those, people are like, you don't really care. You're just sharing this to share it.
Yeah,
and
so it has to be a Redditor.
To be no, I do care. And so but it has
to be a Redditor. And you just have to luck into having a Redditor like on your team and to be able to do that. I agree. It's
a space that we monitor and just stay active in like our listening. Because
I agree,
it's like there are so many different conversations that go on where we're able to learn a lot. And we get a lot of content ideas from like the questions people are posting.
That's a great thought. Yes, that's right. Yeah. I agree. It's, I mean, if I feel like if you're not on there listening, you should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
But even using it though, it's just a different it's a different interface. It's a different platform. It's
very much so.
Erica, I've learned so much. I definitely want to follow up with you on your inviting students and you talking with them, because I think that's such a great idea and it's fascinating. Before we end our conversation, I would like to ask you, what is your confession?
My confession is that I keep a stockpile of images, like beautiful images of the university, of landscapes, buildings, structures, pretty flowers, so that when, through our listening, by being active members of our communities, when we see that something is brewing, that people are upset or frustrated or angry or concerned, any emotion that's going to drive them to come to our channels and share exactly how they feel, which they have every right to do on social media. I put up a picture of a building on the platforms, because I always tell my team that buildings don't have feelings, but the people that we feature in our account, they do. And so having a student be in our photo or in our reel or whatever the post is, having them be there, especially if it's silly, if it's if our post from yesterday is some of our interns doing a trend, and then something else happens in the world, at the university, however it evolves, everyone is going to go to the last post and they're going to go there and they're going to share they're going to express all of their feelings there. And I don't want any of our students or faculty or researchers or leaders or anyone in our content to feel like they're being targeted, to feel like they are they're taking on all of that negativity, that then they suddenly become a representative of the university and everyone is, commenting about how angry or sad they are about something that they had nothing to do with.
It's just happened.
Yeah, it's just because
like
we represent the brand. And we ask them to be a part of our content. We don't want them to not be a part of our content anymore. So we have a buildings don't have feelings, saying, and we will put up a picture of a building that it's not always a building, but that's kind of how we categorize it. But those are very strategic moves that we make so that people will go in there and they can, because again, like they get to say whatever they want.
They can vent, but that will be the last post that they vent on. That's so smart. Erica, I'm going to take that take that practice from you. That's super smart. And actually, that's a really smart observation too, because that's the tendency, is to go to that last post and just kind of comment about whatever.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't have to do with the post itself.
Yeah. And we won't go through and, we're not going to delete comments. We're not going to go through and do that ever, but we don't, unless they like violate our policy.
Right.
We don't.
If it's hateful or
yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
But if it's just completely, a topic that has nothing to do with like this post, again, especially because we're a university that features students a lot.
Yeah.
And because a lot of times we ask students to be a part of like a lip sync thing, or like it's something where they're doing something very fun and silly, because we want to show off the fun side of the university too.
But I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it can just get, I imagine that would be really challenging for students. And so as we saw that happening, we, started doing that, let's go ahead and put up a picture that doesn't feature anyone prominently in it. You can't tell who anyone is. That way they don't feel like they are suddenly the subject of this controversy that, they just had absolutely no idea was going to be a thing. None of us did, So yeah. So buildings don't have feelings. That's my confession. And all those little pictures I get put up and there's a bunch of comments there about something. I did that by choice.
I love that that's like a very specific, there's a tactic and I love it. It's so smart. And like I said, I'm stealing that one from you.
Good. I'm glad.
Erica, I learned so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love listening. I love learning from you and everyone who you have on the podcast. A huge fan of yours and everything that you do. So thanks for inviting me to have this super fun conversation.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.